people suffer from hunger. 81% of them are children.
But here's something that we definitely don't deal with, or on our own shores. We're so blessed to be able to wake up in the morning with our freedom of speech, or press, or choice of religion, or even the ability to umpire on just so many things. And honestly, we take advantage of these rights, and it's both positive and negative every day. But a lot of times we fail to realize that even in a country directly south of us, the government is scared of its own people and is afraid to speak. Every day at Mexico, there's gunfire, there's explosions, screaming from all around you, but nowhere to go. Think of a time when you were truly scared, like terribly afraid, and you were just afraid to think of what could have transpired. Now hold that thought, close your eyes.
I pleaded with the French and the Belgians to go back and get you. I am afraid this is not going to happen. They're cowards. Well, next time, more to see what any of them. The French, ladies.
How rich the orphanage? They had to help me with that. They'd already started killing children. They made me watch. There was one girl. She had her sister wrapped in her back. It was all about the chopper. She cried out to me. Please don't let them kill me. I promise I won't be toxic anymore.
You must cut the tall trees. Cut the tall trees now.
Sure, you be my traditions and everything under control, sir.
What you all just heard were excerpts from the movie Hotel Rwanda, which reenacted the scenes from the Rwandan genocide in the 1990s. Think of what ran through your mind as the explosion sounded and the guns ripped through the air. How did it make you feel? Were you even more scared, or did you feel helpless? Just imagine what these people in these situations felt, finding out that help from the world powers wasn't coming, resulting in many of them not having food or shelters for many days until reaching a refugee camp.
A young girl named Rose once had to flee from her own home to escape rebel forces in a civil war-torn Liberia. In her experience, she witnessed many friends and relatives being brutally murdered, but escaped with her family with only the clothes on her back. Her diet consisted of discolored sewer water
gets used to hunger that it doesn't even matter. You just ate whatever you can. We had bush rats in the house, and we ate them. My father set traps, and you just get them out and roast them and whatever, and that's food.
There was no light. There was no drinking water. There was no food. So it was almost like you were living in this town where you're living, but then you have no way of surviving as far as food, water, shelter, but at the same time, you just mind your business and keep going, keep hustling. It was definite torture going on. There was a lot of killing. They did a lot of shooting when they came in and took over the city.
Stories like Rosa's aren't uncommon. Typically leave us here wondering why such atrocities are occurring without us being able to help. Individually, it may be difficult to help, but through the YMCA, collectively, it is possible. Here at the Y, we have what is called the World Service Fund. Through donations, we're able to send people to these war-torn countries with poverty and help to fix what was once destroyed. A small donation goes such a long way. So that people such as Rose, that wish but cannot have the same privileges that we have every day. Never forget, we look, we sound differently, we're united by a bond, brotherhood, bond of mankind. Cannot be broken.
Thank you to the leadership team, your executive officers for coming up with such an outstanding human rights simulation. Just like your Security Council President and your Secretary General mentioned, we at the Kentucky YMCA are very, very privileged. We are privileged to be here in this time, in this space, with each other, to share ideas openly, to exchange cultural values freely, and to enjoy this experience, to learn from one another all that we have to offer, both to each other in this Commonwealth and to each other as global citizens. We also have the privilege of launching our first Service to the World Y-Corps trip this spring. We will be traveling with alumni from our program, our young adults, who, just like you, went through these programs at one time and were greatly impacted by the service that they experienced through the YMCA, by the power of that united voice that we talked about at the opening of this conference. We will be taking a group of 12 young people to Israel and the Palestinian territories to do service work with YMCAs in both of those areas. We'll work with vocational training program, the women's training program, and the Peace Preschool, which is a preschool at the Jerusalem International YMCA that works with Jewish, Christian, and Muslim children. It's an amazing program, and we are very, very blessed to be able to launch this program this year. So when you think about, when you're dismissed, you think about those small donations that your Security Council President mentioned. That's what you're going to, that's what your donations are going toward, to help us launch this program and continue the service that we engage in here at the local level, but on a global scale. This is our first effort to put the pedal to the metal, to turn our voices into action. We thank you for helping us get there. It's about 9:30 right now. Your next committee session will begin at 10 o'clock. As you leave, your summit presidents have bowls. They'll be accepting donations. If your school did a collective fundraiser to raise money for YMCA World Service, please go ahead and pass that over to us now. Let us know what school it's from and what project you did, and we'll make an announcement about those projects at the closing session on our final morning. So you have some time to take a break, to use the restroom. Please be sure that you're back in your committees by 10. And summit presidents, once you've collected donations, if you would bring those back to the Y desk and then meet with us back there. Thank you all very much for your respectful attitudes and for being global citizens.